Welcome back, viewers. 18 months had passed since little Zara walked into Thompson Industries with her mother's dreams tucked under her arm. The Atlanta skyline looked the same through the floor-to-ceiling windows, but everything else had changed. Maya Johnson now sat in her own office on the 15th floor, her nameplate reading Marketing Director. Her desk was organized with family photos, Zara's school pictures, snapshots of weekend adventures, and one special photo of the three of them at Stone Mountain, looking like the family they had become. She had earned this promotion through sleepless nights, brilliant campaigns, and the respect of colleagues who had once whispered behind her back. Now they came to her for advice. In the corner of her office, Zara, now 7 years old and even more spirited, sat at her own small desk, homework spread out before her. She had grown taller, her cornrows now adorned with gold and silver beads that caught the afternoon light. "Mama, what's a hostile takeover?" Zara asked, looking up from her math homework. Maya's pen froze. "Where did you hear that, baby?" The grown-ups in the elevator were talking about it. They said someone's trying to take Daddy Marcus's company. Maya's heart clenched. She had been trying to shield Zara from the storm that was brewing around Thompson Industries. "Don't worry about grown-up business, sweetheart. Focus on your homework." But even as she said it, Maya felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on her shoulders. The boardroom on the 30th floor was tense. Marcus Thompson sat at the head of the mahogany table, his expression stern as he faced 12 board members. The city lights of Atlanta twinkled below, but the atmosphere inside was anything but peaceful. "The offer from Mitchell Holdings is substantial," said board member Patricia Wells, sliding a document across the table. "James Mitchell is offering 30% above market value for a controlling stake." Marcus didn't touch the document. "Thompson Industries is not for sale." "Marcus, be reasonable," said another board member, Robert Hayes. "Mitchell has a point. Since you've been distracted by personal matters, our quarterly numbers have been inconsistent." "Distracted?" Marcus's voice was dangerously quiet. "Your relationship with Ms. Johnson," Patricia continued carefully. "People are talking. They're saying you've lost your edge, that you're making decisions based on emotion rather than business sense." Marcus stood slowly, his hands flat on the table. "Maya Johnson is the most talented marketing director this company has ever had. She's increased our client retention by 40% and brought in 3 major accounts this quarter alone." "That's not the point," Robert said. "The perception is that she's here because of your personal relationship. It's affecting company morale and investor confidence." Marcus's jaw tightened. "This meeting is over." As the board members filed out, whispering among themselves, Marcus remained standing by the window. He had built this company from nothing, but now he felt like everything he had worked for was slipping away. 3 blocks away, in the elegant sitting room of a Buckhead mansion, Victoria Thompson sat sipping tea from fine china. At 62, she was still striking, silver hair perfectly styled, wearing a cream-colored St. John suit that cost more than most people's monthly salary. She had been watching the news about her son's company with growing concern. Not concern for Marcus. She had barely spoken to him since he was 18. But concern for the family name, the family reputation, and the family fortune. Victoria had left Marcus and his father when Marcus was just a boy, choosing her wealthy second husband over the struggle of raising a child. She had built a new life in New York society, far from the pain of her past mistakes. But now, seeing her son's picture in the business magazines, linked romantically with a single mother from a working-class background, she felt compelled to act. She picked up her phone and dialed her private investigator. "Robert, I need everything you can find on Maya Johnson. Employment history, financial records, family background. Everything." "Yes, ma'am. May I ask why?" Victoria's smile was cold. "Because sometimes love needs a reality check." At Zara's school, Garden Hills Elementary, The afternoon pickup line was its usual chaos of parents, nannies and carpools. Maya pulled up in her reliable Honda Civic, windows down, listening to gospel music. She waved at Zara, who came running with her backpack bouncing and her face bright with excitement. "Mama, guess what? I got 100 on my spelling test. That's my brilliant girl." Maya hugged her tight. "Daddy Marcus is going to be so proud." As they drove home, Zara chattered about her day, but Maya's mind was elsewhere. She had noticed the whispers at work, the way some colleagues looked at her differently now. She had worked twice as hard as anyone else to prove herself, but the shadow of doubt was always there. Was she really good enough? Or was she just Marcus's girlfriend playing dress-up in a world where she didn't belong? That evening, Marcus arrived at Maya's apartment in the West End looking exhausted. It was a cozy 2-bedroom place that Maya had decorated with warmth and love. Family photos, Zara's artwork on the refrigerator, and the scent of dinner cooking on the stove. "Daddy Marcus." Zara launched herself into his arms. "Look what I made you." She handed him a drawing of a tall man in a suit standing next to a woman and a little girl. Above them, she had written "My family" in careful second-grade letters. Marcus's heart melted, the stress of the day momentarily forgotten. "This is beautiful, little one. Should we hang it in my office?" "Yes. Right next to your important papers." Maya watched from the kitchen doorway, her heart full. This was what mattered. This was real. After dinner, when Zara was asleep, Maya and Marcus sat on the couch, her head on his shoulder. "How was your day?" she asked softly. Marcus hesitated. He didn't want to burden her with the company's problems, but he also couldn't lie to her. "Challenging," he said finally. "Mitchell Holdings is being aggressive. The board is concerned." Maya lifted her head to look at him. "About what?" "About us," he said quietly. "They think I'm distracted. That my feelings for you are affecting my business judgment." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. "And what do you think?" Marcus cupped her face gently. "I think you're the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm not going to let anyone make me feel ashamed of that." But even as he said the words, Maya could see the worry in his eyes. She was becoming a liability to the man she loved. The next morning, Maya arrived at work to find an elegant woman in the lobby, clearly out of place among the usual business crowd. The woman was studying the company directory with intense focus. "May I help you?" Jasmine asked from the reception desk. "I'm looking for Maya Johnson," Victoria said, her voice carrying the authority of old money and social position. "Do you have an appointment?" Victoria's smile was sharp. "I'm Marcus Thompson's mother. I think that's appointment enough." Jasmine's eyes widened. In all the years she had worked here, Marcus had never mentioned his mother. She pressed the intercom button. "Miss Johnson, there's someone here to see you." 20 minutes later, Maya sat across from Victoria in a coffee shop around the corner from Thompson Industries. Victoria studied her with calculating eyes, taking in every detail. The modest but professional outfit, the absence of expensive jewelry, the way Maya's hands showed she had once worked with them. "You're quite beautiful," Victoria said finally. "I can see why Marcus is smitten." "Thank you," Maya said carefully. "Though I'm not sure why you wanted to meet me." Victoria smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "I wanted to meet the woman who's destroying my son's career." Maya's back straightened. "Excuse me." "Oh, don't pretend you don't know. Thompson Industries is under attack, and it's because Marcus is seen as weak, distracted, in love with a woman who doesn't belong in his world." "I've worked hard for everything I have," Maya said, her voice steady despite the anger building inside her. "I'm sure you have, dear. But hard work isn't enough, is it? You can't make yourself into something you're not. You can't change where you came from or what people think when they look at you." Victoria leaned forward. "I know about you, Maya. I know about your mother who cleaned houses. I know about the jobs you worked before Marcus rescued you. I know about the apartment you live in, the car you drive, the world you come from. Maya's hands trembled slightly, but she didn't back down. And what world is that? The world of struggle. The world of not enough. The world that Marcus is trying to lift you out of, even as it pulls him down. Victoria reached into her purse and pulled out a check. This is for $200,000. Enough to start over anywhere you want. Enough to give your daughter a good education, a good life. All you have to do is disappear. Maya stared at the check, her mind reeling. $200,000. More money than she had ever seen in her life. Enough to secure Zara's future, to never worry about bills again. Why? She whispered. Because I love my son. And sometimes love means making the hard choices. Sometimes love means walking away. Victoria stood up, leaving the check on the table. You have 24 hours to decide. If you truly love Marcus, you'll do what's best for him, even if it breaks your heart. That night Maya couldn't sleep. She stood by her bedroom window, looking out at the city lights, Victoria's words echoing in her mind. Was she really holding Marcus back? Were her own insecurities and the whispers of others damaging the man she loved? She thought about Zara, sleeping peacefully in the next room. Her daughter had known stability for the first time in her life. She had a father figure who adored her, a beautiful school, a future full of possibilities. Was Maya being selfish by staying? Or would she be betraying everything she had taught Zara about never giving up? In the living room, Zara's drawing still hung on the refrigerator, the one of their family, happy and whole. Maya touched it gently, tears streaming down her face. The next morning, Maya called in sick to work. She spent the day looking at apartments in other cities, researching schools for Zara, trying to imagine a life without Marcus. When Zara came home from school, she found her mother packing boxes. "Mama, what are you doing?" "Just organizing, baby. Nothing for you to worry about." But Zara was 7 now, and she was smart. She could see the sadness in her mother's eyes, the way Maya's hands shook as she folded clothes. "Are we moving away from Daddy Marcus?" Maya's composure cracked. She knelt down and pulled Zara into her arms. "Would that make you sad, baby?" "Yes," Zara said, her voice fierce. "He's my daddy. He loves us. Why would we leave him?" Maya closed her eyes, holding her daughter tight. Sometimes, grown-ups have to make hard choices to protect the people they love. "But Mama," Zara said, pulling back to look at her mother's face, "you told me that when something is right, you fight for it. You don't run away." Out of the mouths of babes. That evening, Marcus arrived at Maya's apartment as usual, but something was different. Maya was quieter, more distant. When he tried to kiss her, she pulled away slightly. "Maya, what's wrong?" She couldn't tell him about his mother, about the check that was still sitting in her purse. Instead, she said, "I've been thinking about us. About whether this is fair to you." Marcus's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "Your company is in trouble, Marcus. Your board doesn't trust you. Maybe they're right. Maybe you are distracted." "Maya, stop." He took her hands. "Don't let them get in your head. What we have is real. Good. It's worth fighting for. But what if it's not enough?" The words came out broken, filled with all her fears and insecurities. "What if I'm not enough?" Marcus cupped her face, his eyes intense. "You are everything. You and Zara are everything." But as he held her, Maya wondered if love was enough to overcome the obstacles they faced. If it was enough to silence the voices that said she didn't belong. The next day, everything came to a head. Maya was in her office when her assistant knocked on the door. "Miss Johnson, there's an emergency board meeting. Mr. Thompson requested that you attend." Maya's heart sank. She had a feeling she knew what this was about. The boardroom was packed when she arrived. Marcus sat at the head of the table, his face grim. James Mitchell, the corporate raider trying to take over Thompson Industries, sat on the opposite end with a smug smile. "Ah, Miss Johnson," Mitchell said as she entered. "Perfect timing. We were just discussing your unique qualifications." "James," Marcus warned, his voice dangerous. "Oh, come now, Marcus. Let's be honest about what's happening here." Mitchell stood up, addressing the room. "Thompson Industries has been bleeding money and talent for months. And why? Because our CEO is more interested in playing house than running a company." Maya felt every eye in the room turn to her. She wanted to disappear, to sink into the floor. "You're out of line," Marcus said, standing. "Am I? Let's look at the facts. Miss Johnson here was hired 18 months ago, despite having no relevant experience in corporate marketing. She's been promoted twice in record time. She has her own office, her own budget, and somehow, her daughter has the run of the executive floor." Mitchell's smile was cruel. "Face it, Marcus. You're a laughingstock. The business community is watching you make a fool of yourself over a woman who's clearly using you for financial security." The room erupted. Board members shouted over each other. Marcus looked ready to physically attack Mitchell. But Maya had heard enough. She stood up slowly, her voice cutting through the chaos. "You're right." The room fell silent. Marcus turned to her, his face stricken. "You're right," Maya repeated, her voice steady despite the tears in her eyes. "I don't belong here. I never did." "Maya, no. I'm sorry," she said, looking directly at Marcus. "I'm sorry for making you choose between your company and your heart. I'm sorry for being a distraction. I'm sorry for not being enough." She walked out of the boardroom with her head held high, leaving behind the job she had worked so hard for, the life she had built, and the man she loved. That afternoon, Maya sat in her car outside Zara's school, her resignation letter on the passenger seat. She had cleaned out her office, said goodbye to Jasmine, and tried to ignore the pitying looks from her colleagues. Victoria's check was in her purse, along with a one-way plane ticket to Charlotte, North Carolina, where her sister lived. She had called the school to withdraw Zara, called the landlord to break her lease. It was over. When Zara got in the car, she immediately sensed something was wrong. "Mama, why are your eyes red?" "Just tired, baby. Listen, how would you feel about visiting Aunt Sarah in Charlotte?" Zara's face scrunched up. "For how long?" Maya couldn't answer. She started the car and drove home in silence, her heart breaking with every mile. That evening, as Maya packed their belongings, Zara sat on her bed watching. "Mama, I don't want to leave Daddy Marcus." "I know, baby. But sometimes." "No." Zara's voice was firm, startling in its intensity. "You're being scared again." Maya looked up surprised. "What? When we lived in the old apartment, you were scared all the time. Scared about money, scared about jobs, scared about everything. Then we met Daddy Marcus, and you stopped being scared. You smiled more. You laughed more. You were happy." Zara climbed onto Maya's lap. "Now you're scared again. And it's making you do something dumb." "Zara, Daddy Marcus loves us. We love him. That's not scary. That's good." Maya held her daughter close, amazed by her wisdom. "Sometimes, baby, love isn't enough to fix everything. But it's enough to try," Zara said simply. The next morning was Saturday. Maya had planned to catch the noon flight to Charlotte, but Zara had other ideas. "I need to go to the office," she announced at breakfast. "Baby, Daddy Marcus isn't working today. He's always working on Saturday. He told me. And I need to tell him something important." Maya's heart ached. She couldn't deny her daughter this goodbye, even though it would destroy them both. An hour later they stood outside Thompson Industries. The building was quieter on weekends, with only essential staff and executives who couldn't let go of work. Marcus was indeed in his office, sitting behind his desk with his head in his hands. He looked up when they entered, his face lighting up before reality crashed back down. "Maya, I've been calling you. We need to talk." "I came to say goodbye," Maya said quietly. Marcus's face went pale. No, you don't get to do this. You don't get to run away." "I'm not running away. I'm setting you free." "I don't want to be free." His voice cracked. "I want you. I want our family. I want our life together." Zara had been listening quietly, but now she stepped forward. "Daddy Marcus, can I tell you something?" He knelt down to her level. "Of course, little one. Mama thinks she's not good enough for you. She thinks people are right when they say mean things about her." Marcus's eyes shot to Maya, who looked away. "But I know something those people don't know," Zara continued. "I know that before you, Mama cried every night. I know that she worked 3 jobs and still couldn't pay all the bills. I know that she used to look at me and worry that she was failing me." Zara's voice grew stronger. "And I know that when you came into our lives, everything changed. Not because you have money, not because you have a big office, but because you saw how special Mama really is." She turned to Maya. "Mama, remember what you told me when those girls at school were being mean? You said that other people's opinions don't change who you are. You said that when you know something is right, you fight for it." Maya was crying now, her defenses crumbling. "Well, this is right, Mama. We're a family. And families fight for each other." Suddenly the office door burst open. Jasmine rushed in, her face flushed with excitement. "Mr. Thompson, you need to see this." She held up her phone, showing a video that had been posted online. "It's from yesterday's board meeting. Someone recorded it." Maya's stomach dropped. The last thing she wanted was for their private pain to be made public. But as the video played, she realized it wasn't the confrontation with Mitchell that had gone viral. It was what happened after she left. The video showed Marcus standing in the boardroom, his voice clear and strong. "Let me be very clear about something," he said to the board. "Maya Johnson is not a distraction. She's not a charity case. She's the most talented marketing professional I've ever worked with. She's increased our revenue by 30%. She's brought in major clients through her creativity and hard work." The camera captured every word as Marcus continued. "And yes, I love her. I love her daughter. They are my family. And if you think that makes me weak, then you don't know what real strength looks like." He turned to Mitchell. "You want to know what's really destroying this company? It's not love. It's not family. It's people like you who think success means sacrificing everything good in your life." The video showed Marcus walking out of the boardroom, leaving stunned silence behind. "It's been shared over 1,000,000 times, Jasmine said, her voice filled with awe. "The comments are incredible. People are calling it the most romantic thing they've ever seen." But Maya wasn't looking at the phone. She was looking at Marcus, seeing the truth in his eyes. "You didn't fight for me," she whispered. "You fought for us. Always," he said simply. The aftermath was swift. The viral video had turned public opinion in favor of Marcus and Thompson Industries. Major clients called to express their support. The board members who had questioned Marcus's leadership suddenly found themselves on the wrong side of history. James Mitchell's takeover attempt crumbled as investors pulled out, unwilling to be associated with someone who had been portrayed as heartless and calculating. But more importantly, Maya finally understood what Marcus had been trying to tell her all along. She was worthy of love. She was worthy of success. She was worthy of fighting for. 3 months later, on a beautiful October day, Thompson Industries hosted a very special event. The company's main conference room had been transformed with white flowers, soft music, and warm lighting. Maya stood at the front of the room in a simple but elegant ivory dress. Her hair swept up in a style that showed off the pearl earrings Marcus had given her. She looked radiant, confident, and completely herself. Marcus stood beside her in a perfectly tailored black suit, his eyes never leaving her face. He looked like a man who had found everything he had ever wanted. And between them, in a beautiful flower girl dress that she had picked out herself, stood Zara. Her hair was adorned with tiny white flowers, and her smile was bright enough to light up the entire room. Do you, Marcus Thompson, take Maya Johnson to be your wife, to love and cherish, through all of life's challenges and joys? I do, Marcus said, his voice strong and sure. Do you, Maya Johnson, take Marcus Thompson to be your husband, to support and encourage, through all of life's adventures? Maya's voice was clear and confident. I do. And do you, Zara Johnson, accept Marcus as your father, to love and be loved by, as you become a family? Zara's response was immediate and joyful. I do. You do. I do. The room erupted in laughter and applause. Marcus knelt down and lifted Zara into his arms, then pulled Maya close. I now pronounce you husband and wife and daughter. You may kiss your bride. As Marcus kissed Maya, Zara threw her arms around both of them. We're a real family now. We always were, little one, Marcus whispered. We always were. The reception was held in the Thompson Industries lobby, the same place where Zara had first walked in with her mother's dreams. The space was decorated with lights and flowers, filled with employees, friends, and family. Victoria Thompson sat at a corner table, watching her son dance with his new wife and daughter. She had flown in from New York that morning, uninvited but not unwelcome. After the ceremony, she approached Maya quietly. I owe you an apology, Victoria said, her voice softer than Maya had ever heard it. You don't owe me anything, Maya replied graciously. Yes, I do. I tried to destroy something beautiful because I was afraid. I was afraid that if Marcus loved you, it would mean he had forgiven me for leaving him. And I wasn't sure I deserved forgiveness. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. But watching him today, seeing how happy he is, I realize that love isn't about deserving. It's about choosing. And he chose well. She handed Maya a small wrapped box. This was my mother's. I always planned to give it to Marcus's wife someday. I just never imagined she would be someone I would be so proud to call my daughter-in-law. Inside the box was a beautiful vintage necklace. Simple but elegant. Thank you, Maya said softly. And Victoria. He's never stopped hoping you would come back into his life. Victoria smiled through her tears. Maybe it's time I stopped running away from the people who love me. Later that evening, after the guests had gone home and the decorations had been packed away, Maya, Marcus, and Zara sat together in their new home. A beautiful house in Decatur with a big backyard and a tire swing that Marcus had installed just for Zara. Mama, tell me the story again, Zara said, curled up between her parents on the couch. Which story, baby? The story about how I saved our family. Maya and Marcus exchanged smiles. It had become Zara's favorite bedtime story. The tale of how a little girl with a big heart and even bigger courage had walked into a corporate office and changed 3 lives forever. Once upon a time, Maya began, there was a little girl who loved her mama so much that she was willing to do anything to help her. As Maya told the story, Marcus held them both close, marveling at how a single moment of courage had led to a lifetime of love. 5 years later, Marcus Thompson stood before a packed auditorium at Georgia State University, delivering the commencement address to the graduating class. In the audience, Maya sat with 8-year-old Zara and their new addition, 2-year-old Michael, who had his father's eyes and his mother's smile. Life has a way of surprising us, Marcus told the graduates. Sometimes the most important moments come in the smallest packages. Sometimes the greatest courage comes from the most unexpected places. He found Maya's face in the crowd and smiled. I learned that lesson from a 5-year-old girl who walked into my office one day and taught me that love isn't about deserving or earning. It's about showing up. It's about fighting for what matters. It's about believing that everyone deserves a chance to be seen for who they really are. The audience erupted in applause. In the front row, Zara stood up and waved at her father, her gap-toothed grin visible from across the room. After the ceremony, as the Thompson family walked across campus, Zara skipped ahead, her graduation cap, borrowed from one of the graduates, tilted at a jaunty angle. "Daddy, when I grow up, I want to be like you," she called back to Marcus. "Like me?" Marcus laughed. "Why?" "Because you see people's hearts, not just their outside stuff." Maya slipped her hand into Marcus's, their wedding rings catching the afternoon sunlight. "She's right, you know. That's your superpower." "No," Marcus said, looking at his family. His wife, his daughter, his son. "My superpower is having the courage to love and be loved. And I learned that from both of you." As they walked toward their car, Zara suddenly stopped and pointed to a young woman sitting alone on a bench, crying over what looked like a rejection letter. "Daddy, she looks sad. Should we help her?" Marcus and Maya looked at each other and smiled. Their daughter's compassion, the trait that had brought them together, was still as strong as ever. "What do you think we should do?" Marcus asked. Zara thought for a moment, then walked over to the young woman. "Hi, I'm Zara. Are you okay?" And as Maya and Marcus watched their daughter offer kindness to a stranger, they knew that the legacy of love they were building would continue far beyond their own lives. Sometimes the smallest acts of courage change everything. Sometimes love shows up in the most unexpected ways. And sometimes the bravest feet really do wear the smallest shoes. The end. In a world that often tells us we're not enough, Maya, Marcus, and Zara discovered that love isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about showing up. It's about fighting for what matters. Their story reminds us that families come in all shapes and sizes, that courage has no age limit, and that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply believe in each other. What started with a little girl's love for her mother became a testament to the transformative power of choosing to see the best in people, even when the world suggests otherwise. Love always finds a way. And sometimes it arrives in the smallest shoes.